Yeah, so this is the second time we're doing this coaching session. Last week was awesome. And we got a lot of interesting insight, and people kind of raised some of their concerns with gathering content. That was the first topic. And today we're doing approving designs, and there's going to be a few more coming over the next couple of weeks. Uh, am I stuck? Am I working? Yeah, it's working, right?
You're working now. Yeah, you're
It's
good.
just that Facebook is stuck. That's what's going on. One done. Let me try this again. Live to Facebook. It's right here. Oh, here it's working. So as usual, it's Chrome that is messed up. And I'm going to share this to the group. So what was I was saying is that we're going to do the format is going to be like 10-15 minutes where I'm just going to go through a few basic points that we've gathered from the survey before this session. Very interesting points there. And then we're just going to open the stage so we can review some processes. And I already also have a backup in case no one wants to share, but it's just an awesome process because a lot of us are just siloed in our own homes, in our own businesses, and it's just very interesting to just open up and see what other people are doing. So it's a safe environment. You know, we're all doing the same thing. So feel free to ping Jerome if you want to do that as we get to that stage. And now preparing the live streaming on Facebook. Okay, so and let me even share the link if some people want to join us from inside the group. Let me see if I get that invite link. Yeah, perfect. Join us. Go live. All right, Manfred, you're coming from Mexico. That's awesome. We have Adrian. How you doing, Adrian? That's great. And Patrick is joining again. Just approved him. And I think we're live. Let's make sure that we're running. I'm just gonna go into the Facebook group, and we can get cracking. Let me see. Yes, okay. So we already have a few people joining us on Facebook as well. And let's dive in. So today we're going to be talking about how to approve designs easily and effectively. And, with WP Feedback and now with Atarim, this is basically how we started. We started as a feedback tool, and that's what brought a lot of you guys on board. And I know that some are not even using the tool. They're kind of just on you guys came from our mailing list, and some are already implemented within their business. And we're going to see some stats around that to see what is the impact and what actually works. And because we asked about all kinds of different tools, all kinds of different processes, but also over the past year or so, I've been talking to more than 100 agencies and freelancers to see how you guys run your businesses around the main three bottlenecks of delivering website projects and running an agency, which is gathering content, approving designs, and providing support. And this is the second session that we're doing. Last week we did gather content. Now we're doing approving designs, and there's the next stuff that are coming. We're going to do providing support efficiently, and some of the other topics that we're going to have. Jerome, on the list.
Basically anything around managing your agency. So, it can be from
Yeah,
dealing with
team
difficult
management.
clients,
Yes.
team management, tracking KPIs, and making decisions led by KPIs,
Which
things like that.
KPIs? Exactly.
Yeah.
Those kind of stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, so everything that we've learned basically, and while we've been building our tool as well, how we've learned to build the tool in a way to help your agency has made us made more problems obvious than they were before as well. So yeah, there'll be, and we're going to be doing them weekly. So there's going to be loads of these in this
Yes.
year.
Every single week, same time. Tell me in the chat, how is the time for you guys? Is this a progress? I see we have people from all over the world. So tell me just on the chat so I can get some. Yeah, that's perfect. That's great. Fabio, good to meet you as well. Hi, Christy. Perfect for you, for Fabio as well. Awesome. So just a bit of background about me and about Jerome. I started as a freelancer, and so did Jerome. And then I built an agency of 12 people here in London, UK. Jerome joined me from a freelancer to becoming a designer inside the company, then a project manager, and then also writing copy for clients. And when we kind of pivoted our agency to, we built our tool as a mechanism to help ourselves, and then we pivoted to try and help as many agencies as we can around the world. That was 18 months ago when we launched our product. And now, 18 months in, we have more than 5,000 agencies that are already using the solution. Over the past year, we've helped agencies from all over the world complete more than 108,000 tasks during 2020. We're hoping that 2021, especially with a rebrand and a massive roadmap that is ahead of us, is going to help us keep growing and keep accelerating you along with us. So today we're going to be talking about approving designs easily and effectively. And before, when you guys joined this or signed up for this session, we asked you a few questions to understand how is it going right now, so we can really see if this is still a struggle for a lot of you, and just so that we have a starting point for this conversation, but also to share the knowledge with you. So through the survey, we learned that 72% are saying that it's hard to approve designs, and that is placing this last week we did the content, so we already knew that the biggest three bottlenecks are content gathering, approving designs, and providing support. And we started from the biggest one, which is approving gathering content, which was I think 78% last week. People said it was hard, and now we're on the second one, which is approving design. 72% of you guys think it's still hard to do that. And then we also found that 76% who use email said it's hard to approve designs. But also we found that 70% of you that use just WP Feedback or Atarim, which is the new brand name that we're going to be using from next week. So today is the first time that there is a slide deck with this name pasted on it. So 70% of you guys that are already utilizing our platform said it's easy to approve design. But something that was really interesting there, so even though 76 that use email said it's hard to approve design, 46% are using more than 2 different tools to approve designs. That out of everyone, and said that it's very difficult. So like the more tools that we're throwing at the problem, and this was very evident through the survey, the more difficult it becomes, and it creates clutter for us as the agencies, but also for the clients. It creates a massive learning curve for the client that a lot of times they just never manage to go through. There's one guy, I don't know who that was. I didn't check the name, but we can just keep him anonymous. There's one guy that was using all of the options, or all the options except for apart from one, including paper printouts. And he said it was easy. So if you're on this call, please come forward, because I think we can learn something from you. So 5 different tools, including paper printouts, and still it was easy. But the vast majority saying it's difficult, as you know, but using WP Feedback and Atarim really balances this problem. So we're going to see what's going on. And I'm also hoping to help the remaining 30% that are on here to utilize our tool better and get the same result as 70% of others. So let's dive into the components of a website project. So these are the standard stages that you would find on almost every single project in the space, starting from discovery, or, starting from the proposal. Once the proposal is signed and you get some money in, then we're doing some kind of a discovery with the client. After that, building an architecture or sitemap for the project itself. We covered that and that on the previous step, but we're also going to go back to this one when we have the wireframes, the prototype, and also where we suggest to gather the content. And then we have development and design, where usually there's 2 revision rounds involved in this step. Finally, we have the launch. And after that, most agencies take clients over to care plans, which is a good idea, but still very much underutilized, which is going to be the topic for next week. Right, we have Beth standing out as the resident project management SME here. How are you doing, Beth? Good to see you. Good to read you. I don't think I can see you here. Yeah, you're here. Yeah, no, video is off for now. I would just like to say that W Feedback is the best tool for getting design feedback. But just like PM tools, the tool is not going to solve your problem. The process using the tool will. Exactly. And this is why we decided that this year, on top of the training that you can already find inside our platform and inside your accounts, where we have the information in there, and we have the WP Feedback Mastery course, we decided to take a more proactive approach of sharing the knowledge and showing people what we've learned from other agencies in the space and from our experience dealing with the same challenges and the same problems that you guys are. You need a full set of project management processes that work together for all aspects of the project. Just want to make sure folks realize that the tool supports the process, not other way around. Yes. So the tool is like, you can, I always told that to my students when I was teaching guitar in previous life. You can buy the best guitar in the world, but if you don't put in the work and sit down and practice, it's not going to worth anything. Right. So now that we have this process, I'd like to hear from you guys in the chat. Who thinks that this is the right way to go? Who has a different process that thinks is better than this, or any items that I missed along the way, or just kind of validation that this is the right way to go? Let's see some comments in the chat. It's quite standard process, yeah, for Adrian. That's great. Let's see what else makes sense from Diana. That's awesome. All right, so we have the validation that we need to continue on. What I will say is that something that even came up last week, and I've heard it a lot through the last year, is that a lot of you guys are starting to move the discovery process to here as a way of creating an initial investment by the client to go through that discovery process, so that you can, first of all, monetize the initial step, but also get the clarity that you need before you're building the proposal. Now, I think it's a great way to generate some additional revenue, but I would argue that most of us, after doing this 2-3 years, you already, just from the 10-15 minutes of call that you have once the lead comes in, you pretty much know what the client needs, and you just from that initial discussion. Discovery is to dive in deep, and the rest of the steps are here mostly to communicate what you're doing to the client in a way that would make sense to them, not seeing the matrix like we do when we look at websites. Right, so I'm going to ask you one more question in the chat. And as we're seeing the process in here, our focus today is going to be around those 2 blocks, the prototypes and the development and design stages, where we have the 3 revision rounds. And I would like to ask you around revision rounds specifically, how do you guys define a revision round? What what do you tell your clients that you would consider around this? How many do you have? How much time is given? Let's hear from you and see what's going on there.
So like, do you do it based on the amount of changes you make, how much time it takes,
Yeah,
stuff like that.
get some interactions here. Let's wake up, everyone.
1 day.
1 day. Okay, this defined. So we have revisions defined as 1 day. Is that for all of the revisions, Manfred, or is just like every revision is defined as 1 day? Or maybe you're giving only one revision? Yeah, define the acceptance criteria before creating the deliverable to reduce time needed for revisions, right? So that's already kind of happening before. That's true, and we're going to talk about that in some of the common problems or mistakes that happen. Adrian is saying we have few days to revise the round, and basically a round includes big major changement plus small updates. To be honest, it's open at the moment for David, and we have if the client goes beyond 2 revisions per page, right? So then what happens, Susan? If they go beyond 2 revisions per page, which sometimes or a lot of times happen actually.
Yeah. Also, I used to the David's answer is what I would say when I was a freelancer,
Yeah.
and that was always my main issue, because revisions would be endless. I would never be able
Yes.
to get out of it. It'd be spiraling out of control.
Maybe it is endless. Let's see if we have some kind of agreement with that. We have each review for all project on average 1 week. So for each review, we're giving 1 week. So if for example, we have 3 revision rounds. It's pretty much but you have each review for all project on for the entire project is 1 week. I'm sure you're leaving some dollars on the table with clients who revise endlessly, right? So this is one of the scope creeps issues that often come up here. So let's look at the common mistakes, and you can see that we're seeing a lot of the points that we're seeing here. So one of the biggest things is that that cause struggles when it comes to approving the designs is a missing learning curve for the client. So they're diving into something that is way out of their reality. And that creates a lot of friction from them. And sometimes they're just looking at it and not really understanding what they're looking at, because we go through a process of building this out. And also we've done this many times before, so we can really build a website in our mind before it's in the browser. But for them, when they're facing it, a lot of times it's very new to them, right? We have scope creep that is revealed after the design is done. So this is what you're, I believe this is what you're talking about here, Susan, when sometimes you're presenting the design and you're super happy about what you created. Then the client's like, yeah, but what about that thing that I never told you about, right? So then what happens? You go back, then are there any additional revision rounds after that? And which brings us to the next point. There's undefined or vague revision rounds. So it's not really structured in a way that we can go from one revision round to the next. We often say that I'm going to give you 2-3 revision rounds, but we fail to mention what is defined as a single revision round throughout that process. And then we're expecting the client to know how to do it. So a lot of times, and we saw that on the survey as well, we're going to be sending them out some screenshots or just send them a link to their website and tell them, what do you think? Right? Just kind of as a whole, without focusing them on what exactly are we expecting them to say at that point. And so some more savvy clients will kind of dive in and understand that some text can change or some layouts can change and so on, and maybe colors and so and stuff like that. And some will even tell you that, or some will just not do anything because they're just looking at it and, yeah, I guess it looks fine, or I don't know what to say, so I'll just leave it for now and come back to this in a few more days when I'll think about it, but sometimes they never do. And right, and I think we had John joining us today, right? John just joined us. And I had a call with John just this week, and we talked about some of those things. But one of my demo calls this week, we had a user that again sent the client to the website. The client never really did anything, and the agency owner just never even followed up or never kind of went back to the client to gave them the clarity that they need. So if there is no response, there's probably not enough information to complete the request. And then we have trying to approve the entire website in one go. So again, building the whole thing out, sending them the URL to the dev site and telling them, yes, what do you think, right? And the website might be 5 pages and might be like a massive e-com shop with different products and all of that. And then the whole thing is very like uncertain from their point of view of like, where did I go? How should I present this back to you? And then I think one of the things that sometimes we don't really consider is that we actually lost the client already. By the time we reach this point, we already lost them earlier on the process when it comes to, we asked them to gather content, but we haven't done that efficiently. So they just went off for a year. To provide the content, and by the time you say, okay, we can't really continue with that, so here is the design with the lorem ipsums, please approve the design now. And in their mind is like, wait, but we still haven't finished the previous steps that we talked about, or where were you over the past 6 months when I never replied to your email, so we pretty much lost the client already, and that really affects that stage as well. And we have a few other points here. That's one of my issues, Diana, is saying how to communicate each step well so the client gets it, right? Some clients aren't afraid of technology, so no issues. Others don't like anything technology related, so it gets complicated. Yes, and even though they bought a website, they are meant to go through some type of a learning curve that will allow them to confront what they just purchased so they can actually use it. It's like someone, I always compare this stuff to, a pair of shoes. We want the customer to wear the shoes because we know that if someone wears them and they feel how comfortable they are, or in our case, when they really understand the power of WordPress or the platforms that you've created for them, the value that it can provide for their business, then the upsells are endless. But if they never face the website, if they never really touch it after the build, because there wasn't a proper learning curve, or there wasn't a proper process to take them from the beginning to the end, then it just becomes like a monument of itself, on the internet, and no one ever visits it. And this customer is probably just, he might pay the 50 to 100 pounds a month for the care plan, but you're not going to see much more than that from that customer. So we have the lost client trust earlier in the project. And I'm going back to this process, and we can see where we're talking about right now. This is the gathering content, where usually the problem happens with gathering content. And these are the main 3 bottlenecks that we're going through. So this is what we want to see when it comes to the full map of our project and how we define each one of these client touch points. The first one, where it comes to wireframes and a prototype, we want that step to accommodate the approval of the layout and the gathering of the content. And I'm going to show you exactly how to do that next. And then we have, after we have the content that we need in a visual way within context so that it's easy for them to actually execute against, then when we have the layout approved. So a lot of the scope creep stuff are gonna be identified at this stage before you actually started designing the website or building features. And then once you go through this step, which again, to us takes a couple of days to go through the entire website. We don't need more than a week in most cases to build a website from start to finish if it's just us on our own. So after this process, we are going to be building it. And after that, we're going to send this out to the client for a second revision round where we're going to have the main design approval. On this stage, what we propose is not sending the entire website, or even if we're sending the entire website, focusing the client on a few key pages, because especially as we're using a content management system, the most pages are kind of the same, or you have a few categories of types of pages. So the homepage is basically where you would get the most insight from what needs to be done. And then sometimes you have like a service service page, or a product, single product page, or a single blog post article. So these are the additional pages that you would want to approve. And then once these are done and you got all your templates in order, then we can move on to the last revision round, which should be just final tweaks. And this type of points is instead of defining it as revision 1, revision 2, and revision 3, we have layout and content, we have main design approval, and we have final tweaks. And that already signals to the client what is expected of them at any given stage when we have those touch points around the design approval. Does that make sense? Let's see some confirmation here on the chat before I dive in to share my screen. Yeah, while this is happening, I'm gonna pull up our demo site here. Yep, we got Eric saying, yep, that makes sense. Is that how you're doing it right now, Eric? Do you have those three revision rounds that are defined? We have yes from David, perfect. We got some people on board. That's the process I go through. That's perfect. Okay, awesome. So now let's have a look at this demo website. Not always, and I regret it sometimes, right? From Eric, that's not always the process. Sometimes regrets it, and yeah, these are exactly the pitfalls of you know, some of the things that we're doing, because we're doing this the same. We're going through the same process for every single project. Sometimes we fail to remember that the client is going through this process for the first time ever, or even if they had a website before, last time they did a redesign was 3-4 years ago, and so many things happened since. So we got to reiterate, oh, you know, they might had a different developer that had no system in place. So defining those points for them gives them the clarity that they need to help you and to help themselves. So if I'm going back to this layout, yeah, I love it when SMEs are on the same page and singing from the same song sheet. Yeah, like I wish it was always the case, Beth, right? Right, so that we have, we're gonna start from this step. So we're gonna look at revision round. And the reason why I want to bring you back to here is because I know that a lot of you guys consider the design approval that it would start from this. You already have a laid out page that has colors, that has all of these beautiful elements on it. The images are in place, some icons here and there. You know, we have the 3 icons and like everything is already pretty much laid out. So like, and then we're expecting the client to look at this page and really see it. And you know, and when I'm saying that we're expecting them to really see it, it means that they need to see that when you hover over this guy, there is a different color. Or even more than that, just see that there are icons that are associated with these 2 blocks of content. And maybe we want them to see that we added a bit of a nice background to those elements behind those icons. And maybe we want them to acknowledge the beautiful waves that we've created here in the background, and the fact that we added an emoji here. Maybe that works with their brand, maybe that doesn't, but in order for us to know, we have to have them, we have to get them to a place where when they look at this page, they can actually see all of those bits and pieces. And I like to compare this to, you know, when I before I proposed to my wife or to my girlfriend at the time, I had to go out and shop for, you know, for a diamond ring. And I never bought a diamond ring in my life. It wasn't something in my reality to look at rings and really understand what I'm looking at. But it's a big investment that you need to go out and make a decision. And you know, you pretty much want to make a decision within the same day of which ring you're gonna go for, right? But then you look at them and they all look the same. And the more I looked at some of those rings, and at some point I kind of like grabbed myself and said, okay, I'm going through this Hatton Garden, which is like a big jeweler's street here in London. And I'm looking at all of those windows and everything just looks the same, but it has like the prices vary between, you know, a few hundreds to tens of thousands for what to me looked exactly the same ring. And so I decided to just like stop and look. And I spent like 10 minutes just looking at, and I'm sure the guys inside the shop that were seeing me from on the street, just looking at the window like this, thought I was a little crazy. But what I was doing is I was basically trying to confront what I am seeing and to try and consume everything inside inside the ring. So then I started noticing that some rings had like a ring around them of smaller diamonds, and some of them had different shades, different colors, and all of those like little nuances are things that when we look at a website, we see those things straight away because we're dealing with diamonds on a daily basis. But when a client look at it, it's like a guy that goes to buy the diamond ring for the first time. It all looks the same and it looks flat. It's very 2D, two-dimensional to them. So what we want to do is we want to take them through a process, and that is the learning curve that I mentioned before, so that they can really confront and understand what we're dealing with here. That's why I'm proposing that the first step is actually taking them through an approval of the layout, so that we still don't confuse them with colors, and we don't confuse them with the band of the ring, right? Let's just look at the diamond itself and see what is the difference between the different diamonds, and then we can look at the whole product as a whole. So let's look at let's see how that looks like. Right. So for those of you that joined us last week, we talked about this step as a mechanism for gathering content. And I'm going to mention this briefly today as well. But today, the focus around these wireframing templates is around approving the layout of the design so that we can agree that this is going to be the structure of the main pages of the website. And once we have that approved, then we can start laying colors on it, so we first have the building and then we do the interior design. And so what is this template? Each one of you that is every WP Feedback user will find within your account templates for every major page builder that is out there. We have, this one is an Elementor one. We have a Beaver Builder. We have one for Gutenberg, Divi. There's a new one for Thrivecart or something like that. Adrian, I'm waiting for the Oxygen one. Did you get the hat at least? Did you get the cap? Right. Yeah. So we're waiting for Oxygen from Adrian. Hopefully we'll find the time to help it. Yeah, you need a new one now with the new name. So we're probably going to have Oxygen. Hopefully we're going to have Oxygen coming in soon. There is also Gutenberg in there. Yeah, within your account on all of them, right, Jerome?
Yeah, it's in your account. Hold on, I'll send you guys the link. But yeah, you'll see it right next to where the plugin download is.
Yes.
Oh, sorry, the client interface plugin download is what we should be calling
exactly. it. And right, so now let me show you the full template, because this is already the end result after using the template, okay? So the full template looks like this. Some instructions on the top, how to use this thing. There's like a 7-minute video that really shows you what to do. And a lot of us don't go through the prototyping stage just because we feel that it's just one more thing to do. And it's another thing that usually is done on Photoshop or XD or something like that. And we do it from scratch every time. And it's just a pain to create those layouts inside other tools. So what we did is we created a pre-made template that is designed to have no design, so that the client can really focus on what is important at any given moment. And what you will find inside this template is that you have 3 to 5 types of sections for every standard section that you would find on a modern website. For example, we have 3 types of headers to choose from. And your process is to just delete what you don't want. So instead of creating from scratch every time, you just go through this layout, and we have 3 types of headers, 5 types of hero sections, right? Maybe like this one, maybe with the image on the side. Then we have a few types of those icons layout, maybe with 4, maybe like this, maybe like that. Then we have left, right, like every website has this left and right text and image, maybe flipped, maybe like this, with check marks. Some content areas with sidebar, testimonial sections, grids. So this can be services, this can be blog posts, this can be products, you know, to communicate the fact that there is a grid, maybe a grid like that, you know, and some contact us sections. And the process is just to delete what you don't want. The end result, and this is after I just took 3 minutes to delete what I don't want. This is what I got on this little homepage, right? Pretty awesome standard homepage that you would expect. And the cool thing is that it allows the client to focus on the two objectives of this step. One is to approve the layout. They can feel the flow of the page. They can feel the flow of the different pages of the website. And the second thing is to gather content, because here we have everything is just lorem ipsums. And we already have the call to actions. We have the sections that are laid out like that. And that gives the client, for the first time ever, yes, this is set up on Elementor, Susan, but we also have it for other page builders. I'm using Elementor here on what you're seeing right now. But there's one for Beaver Builder, for Divi, Gutenberg, and so on. Back to my point, it allows them to kind of focus on what matters the most, which is gathering content and approving the layout of this page. Now, not only that, what you will find throughout our design system or design process is that we're very much in favor of building on top of what you did on the previous step. So instead of going to Photoshop, creating something that you later need to redo in the browser anyway, inside of those page builders, this becomes the infrastructure for your design. So what is left after you get the approval and the content from the client is to paint this up, right? To decorate this layout and to make it your own based on the client's branding and the color scheme. Right, so we have an understanding around this section. Any questions around the templates?
I also wanted to add a point as well. If you use our tool to gather the content, usually what I would do is I would have this open on my one screen and the page open in the builder in another screen, and literally just copy paste the content from the tasks straight into each section.
Yes. We actually did that exactly now, like this week. And I'll show you the new Atarim website that we're working on. And you can see all of everything is green, everything up. There's a few things here that still needs doing. Some research, yeah, we need to get the videos done, but let's just show these on the screen. So you really see like there's discussions around the titles. What are going to be the titles that we're going to be using here? What is going to be on this section? Maybe something like that. And then logos that needs replacing. There's a new logo for WP Mayor, a new logo for Elementor that needs to be replaced. You know, the content, our SEO guy, Alex, went through this new logo for Cloudways and you know, and so on and so on. Instead of project, say day. So
we didn't actually have a conversation about this. Like I didn't even realize Vito had, because I did the copy for most of this page and I didn't even realize he had completed them yet. But when I go back to it, I'm going to be like, oh, okay, so he's happy with all of this. We don't even have to talk about it.
Yeah, and I knew that Jerome completed that because you moved everything to pending review. So I went to the page and said, oh, things are orange. Okay, let's have a look and just mark things as complete in here, right? Okay, back here, this is just like a sneak preview over to what's coming there, but the stages. So we talked about approving the layout and gathering the content in an intuitive way that gives the client, empowers the clients to really see what they're looking at. And then once they see this, process or this layout, how easy it is to really understand that from here, from this, we went to this, right? Now it makes sense because you've taken them through a journey that allows them to really confront the process of designing a website. And more than that, you really illustrated the value of your beautiful skills at building and designing a website from something that is bare-boned as just this wireframe or prototype template in here. So now they're like, whoa, you know, compared to what they've seen before but it also allows them to really see these images compared to the icons that we had here. Does that make sense? Let's see some comments in the feed. See if people are still alive. Yeah, David is on. Awesome. Yep. Okay, great. Of course, makes sense. Awesome. We have David. Hello, David. Okay, perfect. And yeah, so then we went from this stage, the layout and the content, over to the main design approval, where we've sent them to this page, where what is expected of them is to approve the design. A lot of times what we would do is we would use the top section to give them some kind of a guideline as to what do you want from them. Please have a look through this page. Let me know what you think of the colors, the icons, the different bits of text as now that you're seeing them implemented inside the design. So you're giving them something to start off with. And then when they if you're seeing that there is no additional kind of action being taken from the client, quickly you would go in and place a few more stickers on other sections. What do you think about this? Oh, sorry, let me go to the main one. What do you think about this image? Do you like what we did with this mock-up? Are we really mobile friendly? You know, maybe you have a better picture for that compared to the one that you provided. So you just want to get them going, and once they get into the game, then it's really easy to continue down the line, because the platform, the interface that we've created already makes it super easy. So what you would find is that sometimes, and I'm now talking to the 30% that were trying to use our tool and struggled with it, what you would find is that the few reasons that clients resist is, first of all, they are still not sure what to do, even if we're taking them through the process. That could be one reason. Another thing is that they're kind of shy, you know, they're kind of they're shy, they're too shy to click the plus icon and choose anything on the page to leave that comment. But if you start the conversation going, what to add here, you know, just small questions like that gives them the guide to just reply back. And so it's really easy for them to get things going, see the impact of what is going on when they're saying this should be this, you know, instead of telling you, sending you an email around all of those kind of stuff. That will kind of inspire them to keep going and to use this more and more. And the more they're going to use it, the more they're going to see the value in the platform itself. And of course, you're going to see the value because you get the screenshots automated and all of those other goodies that the client interface provides. Right, so the next thing that I wanted to cover here, and we're gonna have Jerome. Do we have anyone that wants to share?
No one messaged me, but I mean, you know,
cool.
Feel free to just jump in if anyone wants to.
Yeah, so I'm just gonna finish a couple more points around this one and this, and then there's gonna be some QA. So think about if you have any questions. We're gonna open the stage for a few minutes. So one thing that I wanted to point out around the main design approval is, again, you don't want to send the entire website, or you don't want to expect the client to approve the entire website as a whole. You want to focus them on a few pages that you need them to work on. So I would go, after I did this, after I placed the sticker here that says, you know, just on the top section, please let me know what you think. You can look at the colors, the images, maybe there's a text change, you know, very casual. And then I would go and put the same thing on a blog item, one blog item, and I would do the same thing on a service page, for example, you know, just so they can get this thing in. Of course, the emails are going to be triggered to them, inviting them to start collaborating on here. One thing that I also want to point out is the guest mode. If you guys are not aware of the guest mode feature of the client interface plugin, is that they don't need to log in at all. So you can turn this on from the back end and assign a user from the client. So you would create the user for the client inside that installation, but you would not share the login details with the client. You just choose them from the drop down. Let me show you instead of telling you. just wait for it to finish loading, and then I'm going to go settings. It's actually on permissions. And I'm gonna turn on guests allowed and choose the user of the client from here. In that case, let's say James, right? This means that the user, the email associated with this user will still get all the notifications, but they will be able to reply and create tickets on the page itself without being logged in at all. This is of course ideal during the build, but as we're launching the website and going live, then you would want to turn off guest mode and train the client to log in. And this is actually a very important step of the project delivery, to get them to wear the shoes, not just look at the shoes, and not keep them in the box and guard them, but actually experience what they paid for. And that is a discussion for next week. So I'll leave that for the side for now. But guest mode, very important for this stage. Now, how do we define a revision round? And this was one of the key points that a lot of us are talking about here. This is very vague, or sometimes, we just tell them, let me know when you're, let me know what you think. That's the entire extent of the definition, right? Of this revision round. But then we really get pissed off if they ask for too many things. But why not? What's stopping them from asking for too many things, or what's stopping them from coming back 3 weeks after the first response and ask for more stuff? Nothing was defined, so everything is open. Now, I know that some do make some kind of a definition in the contract, but come on, each one of our contracts is like 10 pages long, and we're expecting them to remember that one clause on top of everything else that they're doing on their business. If I want to remember one of my, let's say one of the clauses that I have on our insurance, like our company insurance, I have no idea, what's going on there. So we can't expect them to remember what is on the contract. When the stage comes, we're gonna communicate this to them. And what are we gonna communicate? I propose defining a revision round as 2 days and the weekend. And the reason why I'm saying 2 days and a weekend is because first of all, it's not saying 1 week. It's almost a week, but it's not saying 1 week. The choice of words is important because we're letting them think about it. And even when I said 2 days and a weekend, that kind of like 2 days and a weekend, that gets people thinking about this exact time span. And we know as business owners, when we are pushed into making a decision within a very defined time span, this will probably go into my calendar. But if someone is going to tell me, yeah, you can send it over the next upcoming week, yeah, sure, I'll send it over the upcoming week sometime, when I find the time. But a lot of times you don't find the time, or the entire business is on fire, so it's not on the calendar, it doesn't exist. So 2 days and a weekend makes a clear definition of what is expected from the client. Another reason for that is because most business owners do a lot of their work on the weekends. So during the week, they're dealing with the fires. They're dealing with the team member that is sick this week, that is not feeling well, and that bill that came out that needs to be dealt with, or that client that had something broken there or there, So, but on the weekend is when they work on the business. That's where they do a lot of the business development. That's for small businesses, which I know that is most of the work for most of us. So the weekend is a great time for that. Plus, now with Atarim, you have a client interface that allows them to do this without sitting in front of a computer. So they would sit on their iPad and give you the revision round while they're watching Netflix, over the weekend. So it's like we simplified, we created no barriers from their point. There are no excuses, because everything is possible when it comes to doing this on a phone or anything. Can sit on the, they can sit on the toilet and give you a revision round for all you care, for all we care, is that as long as it gets done, sometimes during those 2 days and the weekend. And we have a question from Kara. What if your client isn't available over the upcoming or following weekends? First of all, this will raise this. So if you're telling them, I need this over the next week, then they will never even tell you that I'm not available over this. Yeah, sure, I'm gonna squeeze it in sometime. But if you got them thinking about when is this gonna happen, and they're telling you, listen, I'm going on a holiday for 3 weeks, enjoy the holiday. What can you say? But at least you have that time definition, and that revision round will start when they come back. And you want to get to a point that Monday comes and the revision round ended. And that's it. This way you can move on to the next step, right? So through a fixed date, create action. Exactly. It pushes them into action. And the entire website flow is designed around quick action, because speed builds momentum. And that is true in business and in life, and in everything. If we're pushing people to act fast, they're gonna feel energized from the process instead of broken down. As a lot of times by the end of the project, you and the client are just so tired of this, you just don't want to deal with this thing anymore. But instead, if the project runs, if like, all right, awesome, I sent the sitemap, a day after I have feedback, cool, I'll do it today. The day after you get the revision round, boom, content happened in 2 days, amazing. So everyone is building that energy throughout the project. So short time spans is the key, because we know that we all know, you guys know, that doing anything that we're asking from the client is not a big deal. It's not time consuming stuff. Even gathering content, if they have the power of, if they know what needs to be added where, it's more of a conversation. They're just talking about their business, like they would on a Friday night dinner party or a Zoom call with their clients. Everyone can talk about their own business. The reason why people take sometimes months to deliver content is because they really don't know how to. They were never empowered to have a system of delivering it properly. But if they do, it takes 2 hours. It doesn't take more than that for small websites, right? So some websites take longer. Right, as each revision round could push the project out several weeks depending on the client's schedule. Is there an alternative? Right. So what we would see is that the standard length of a website project is between 6 to 8 weeks. This is the standard in the industry, and and this is insane, because really, like we said, if we needed to build a website on our own, and we just had that same experience with the new Atarim website. And I'm not doing this full time. I'm still running other stuff. I'm doing demo calls. I'm talking to you guys and, all of these things. But still, I managed to build the entire 20 some pages, 23 pages, Jerome, in 3 days, right? So really building a website takes 3 days. It doesn't take 6 to 8 weeks. So the entire process here is, the additional 5 to 7 weeks that happen within a website project is because the client is given too long of a time spans, and you're just waiting. You're not really doing anything on those 5-6 weeks. You're just waiting for something to happen. So go back to your point here, Kara. Is there as each revision round could push the project out several weeks? So that's why we have 2 days and a weekend, which means that every revision round should take a week, the longest. And that is the span, because to go through the changes that the client provided you is going to take you 2 days. We have a case study from Eben that was telling us how we completed 350 requests from 10 different stakeholders in a day and a half, right? And we know that like most of the requests are small stuff. You just go through and change it here, change the color there. The tools that we have in our disposal for design and development are so systemized by now that it's not really a time-consuming process, especially or specifically in WordPress. So that's why on Monday, that's your time to go out and do the work yourself, because you're going to have action items from the last 2 days and the weekend. And by Wednesday, you're sending this back out to the client for them to do their part on the next 2 days and the weekend. Yeah, you can define it however you like, really. The reason why we're doing it like that is because we feel that that it gets the client thinking. First of all, that's the first thing, which means that they're going to put it inside their calendar. The second thing is that it gives them the weekend, which is very valuable for a lot of small business owners. Cool. That's pretty much it. Yeah. 2 minutes to spare. Let's see if we have any other questions here. See if we have something on Facebook. Nothing to add. Yeah. Montessar. Unlimited revisions for my clients. Don't do that, man. Currently at my first revision with one of my clients, there is indeed a learning curve for them, right? Leonardo is saying here. Let's see what else we have. Yeah. So let me know. Thank you very much for Natasha. Thank you, Natasha, for joining us. Let me know if this was helpful, if you're going to be implementing, because, you know, it's not only like Beth said at the beginning, it's not enough to learn. It's all about implementation. So let's see what, maybe let's even open this here for the chat. Let me know, what are you guys going to do this week to take action on what you learned now? Loving how the process, our processes are aligning, Beth. Yeah, because this is a project management. It's you know, this is something that is very interesting to find that most of us, you know, we start as designers, we start as developers. We don't come into these businesses from being project managers, you know, but then we need to manage projects, we need to manage clients, we need to manage a business. Yeah, like I'm happy that you're saying that. It validates the process, and yeah, that's awesome. Let's see, how are you guys going to be implementing? What are you going to do this week? Work on a defined process and how to explain to a client what a design review is. That's great from Diana. That's awesome. Thanks, David. They're saying that was great. So many people leave out wireframes, and it really is critical in breaking things down for the client, right? Because we believe that wireframes are for us, but no, it's not true. We already know how the website will look like during the first 15 minutes after receiving the lead. Everything that is done up until the design itself is us trying to help the client to really see what we're trying to do here. Very interesting. Thank you, John. Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, so next week we've got providing support, same time, Wednesday, 4 p.m. I'm going to send you all, I'm going to write this up into a blog post, so you will have it. It will have the slides in there, it will have the recording as well, so you can watch or you can read. And then, yeah, I'll be sending out invites for the next one, providing support, which will be next Wednesday, and those will go out to your emails tomorrow.
Amazing. Thank you, everyone.
Thanks for joining, guys.
Thanks for joining, and see you next week.